Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm doing a quick video here on my new mass transportation plan for San Diego. Now, San Diego is an interesting region as we're kind of landlocked in a sense, where we're in between the mountains and the coast. It's not like a valley like Phoenix where it's flat and they can do pretty much whatever. No, there's only, the terrain is variable. It's the rolling hills, so yeah, San Diego is a very interesting, um, you know, for the geological aspect of it, and it's honestly a great place to live since I've lived there most of my life. And you can see here, if I turn on the plate boundaries, got a lot of fault lines that you got to plan for when you're doing all this stuff. But in any case, the point of this video is to show you the mass transportation plan I've been working on, which I sent over to Sandag, and I know they're coming up with their new regional plan right now, and hopefully this will help. So the plan right now is the gold line trolley. This is the one I would get first. Now note, this is the purple line right here. Now currently Sandag has that slated to start from the draft reports that I've seen or heard of, at least hearsay. So this could change since last time I heard. It was supposed to start at the Qualcomm Stadium Transit Hub there and go north along the 15 corridor, which is nice. We need that. But this one fills in the gaps to the South Bay. So starting at the South Bay here through Chula Vista and San Ysidro, you have the Gold Line coming into Imperial Beach, a couple different optional routes just in case. Depends on what the community wants. And then finally goes to Coronado, potentially to North Island, which I think the Navy would like, having a station over there so their sailors can, easily get to work and everything. And then that takes traffic off 4th and 3rd over here. And note, there was a tunnel proposed at one point from the city of Coronado, so it was going to come from the Coronado Bridge here and go underground right after the toll plaza. But it got blocked by Sandag and bureaucratical stuff. I had talked to the city on it last year, and it just sounded like one of the Sandag board members or Caltrans, one of the two. I'm trying to remember what happened, but it was basically political, the way it was blocked. And speaking of the Coronado Bridge, if you look on my channel here on CFSM Media, I did a video about the Coronado Bridge, so I will link that in. So click that link, and if you want to learn more about that bridge only has a 10 to 15 years life left before they're going to have to start planning a new one. So my theory is, why not plan ahead? Look at how they built the freeway systems back in the 50s when Eisenhower signed that, and I think that was 55 that Eisenhower signed the freeway system. But for a man that was over in World War II, general, and saw Germany's road systems, like, hey, we need this. But when they designed the freeway system, they planned way ahead of their time. So they had slated, all this stuff for 4 lanes through San Diego, and it was still 4 lanes up until very recently, and it's taken them 60 years to figure out a plan for it. It's way too long, and we're way behind, and that's partially due to the way California's been set up, and the state siphoning money to fill the deficit and to go to the high-speed rail project as well. They've taken road funds out, and that's why everyone's so opposed to that gas tax hike, because they're saying, oh yeah, it's gonna go for this and this, but in actuality only like 20% or less goes to the roads, and then that's for existing stuff. That's nothing new, and then the rest of it goes to all special interests essentially, or to fill the deficit. So that's why everyone was so opposed to that, and that needs to be fixed at a state level. But from what San Diego can do, this is a temporary solution that we can probably do through local transportation dollars and potentially federal grants. Now, to continue on, so replace the Coronado Bridge at some point, because it's an old boxcar design if you look at it. And my talks with Sandag and Caltrans said that essentially they can, and I have emails, and as I said, look at the video previously, it's highly unlikely that they'll be able to expand the bridge because of just the way it was designed. So get a new bridge, get some trolley lines going over it, call it a day. Now, another section which I kind of have an issue with down here, and that's why I made them subways as opposed to above ground. I really think going through downtown that they should spend the money to underground. Now, why am I saying, okay, well, Spencer, why do you want underground? It's going to cost a lot of money. Yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money, but it will now, you don't have to wait for trains crossing down here at any of the lights. And one that always backs up here is over by the Children's Museum, and then also by the Manchester Grand Hyatt here, especially with Comic-Con coming up. And no, Comic-Con this year, which I will be at this upcoming week, Harbor Drive is closed from Park Boulevard here all the way over to the other edge of the convention center. And why is it closed? Security concerns. Thank you. I go to the Comic-Con meetings every so often, and I know this has kind of been a talking point, at least that I've brought up before, so not to say more because NDA, but it's good to see that this is finally through, so now it's going to be a lot safer event. But you can see my point of essentially, why I think at least they should underground the rail lines over there, and make it a subway system as opposed to above ground at grade, because it will be a lot better traffic wise, because you're not having to deal with the trains passing. It's just, okay, they're going underground, so you don't have to stop at the tracks. Now, going across here, this is kind of a tricky area, and this is why I have the alternate route here. If I turn on the layer, this is when I had my old Olympic Stadium design here, and this is how some of you guys might know me anyways, if you remember the whole Chargers Stadium debacle. My Olympic Stadium plan, I had several plans for it, but the main one was putting it right here, expanding the convention center, which again, still supportive of, because that's going to be fix three things at once: homeless, the roads, and it's going to allow for the convention center expansion to go through. So really looking forward to that measure passing, and the signatures getting signed. That's the key thing. So if you hear people talking about this, is my personal opinion, sign it if you're the resident of the city of San Diego, because 3 birds, 1 stone. In any case, so you can see why I had that alternate route there when I had my contiguous convenient design. And that was the original before the Chargers decided, hey, we're just going to steal this idea and put it over here. Thanks Dean Spanos. In any case, so the line goes to the airport here, and then it cuts up into Mission Beach, Belmont Park, then it goes all the way through Pacific Beach up here to the to UCSD. It then goes up. I have it going up along the coast, on the Coast Highway essentially, through Encinitas, and then cutting across Solana Beach by the fairgrounds. I already preemptively said Encinitas, but it's going to go through Encinitas through here. And note the section between the Presbyterian Church here and Encinitas Town Center will be undergrounded and subwayed, because knowing the residents there and also living in that area, yeah, I don't want trains noise, so that whole segment's going to be undergrounded over there. And finally, you'll link up at Palomar Airport, so there's going to be a main transfer station here, and this is actually the line I just finished working on today, and that's the red line. It could be called other things. I just tossed in some random names. This one's starting at the Point City Coaster Station and going all the way to Cal State San Marcos. I haven't planned it past that because we already have the coaster and the what's it called? Not Amtrak. It's the Sprinter. So the Sprinter already goes through there. So hypothetically, if they want to expand out towards Escondido and potentially up to here, maybe Valley View Casino wants a station, eventually that will be later on planning, but I'm more focusing on the urban areas. Now, this area up here, then, the line ends at the Camp Pendleton North Gate. It hypothetically could go to Fallbrook, but that's kind of out in the boonies, so I don't really know if that's feasible. I mean, yeah, they could do it, but the residents that live over there versus the need to do that, not that great. I'd rather see the line cut back along Highway 76 and go out that way, if they plan that out in the future. But That's my personal opinion. Next thing I'll focus on coming up from the south here is the purple line. Now the purple line I have, you can see all these stations here. It's going all the way up to, essentially it's following the 15 corridor. Now 15 goes past Plaza Bonita. Actually, this is actually the 805 here, so just say it starts at 805 and then turns into 15. So 805 goes all the way this way past, Plaza Bonita. And now the whole concept behind the way I designed this is you're going to be putting parking rides along the freeways here. So you're going to essentially have each transit station become each trolley station become a transit station. So it's going to have bus service. And I know they've been doing this on 905 already. But you have essentially bus service built into a trolley line. So that bus service, now this isn't going to affect Rapid or anything. You're going to still have Rapid and that type of bus service. But you are going to be redesigning, and this is where MTS comes into play, and all the different transit districts, is you turn these trolley sites into a centralized hub. So people that are now saying, hey, well, it might be actually be more efficient for me to jump on the trolley and go like 1 or 2 stops and then go to downtown than it is to do X, Y, and Z and drive and deal with traffic. Now, again, this plan is not going to do any lane dieting. I expressly forbid it in the plan. Anytime they have to do lane dieting or reducing of lanes, no, you're not doing that, because this is a balanced plan. It's not, hey, we're just going to focus on mass transit and bikes. No, we're going to do everything. You can't, to be a good city planner, you have to focus on all 3 aspects. You can't be just doing one and ignoring the other, because then it doesn't solve anything. So, so coming up north here, then you can see all these stations. Just imagine a grid or a web. I don't know if I'm trying to think of a better way to explain it, but I'd say more of a web. Let's just call it a web. And that's the bus lines coming out of it. And if you can visualize that, so imagine, okay, where's a good example here? Let's just say El Cajon Boulevard here. So imagine now, and I'll draw like an area. So with this station, you now have bus service that's going and covering all this area here, right? Just to say hypothetically now, bus service is covering that, and hypothetically up there too, because that's how it'd be. And then there'd be some overlap of the service. So it's not like, okay, this box is just going to be one area. No, you're going to have bus service coming out of all of these, and it'd be more centralized and more efficient that way. So you would, and again, it wouldn't affect Rapid, but it would just give people the option to take buses, and it will improve efficiency as well, because they're going shorter distances, and it's not like, okay, bus A is going from El Cajon Boulevard here to this station over here, and hypothetically you could have stations like that, or bus services like that are just going back and forth from each station, which again, later on in the planning phase, once all this stuff is built, but you guys get the general idea. Finally, the purple line ends at Qualcomm Stadium, and that's phase 1. Going back down, I have a shorter line, which is called the Patriot line. Called the Patriot line because it starts at the Pacific Fleet, and it's going all the way up through the 15 corridor here, and I have 2 different options for it here. Either I just cut through and follow, or you go underground once it reaches Ocean Boulevard here in 33rd, and then links up at 32nd Commercial, which is already an existing trolley station, just as a merger point. That was kind of that idea, but again, this is our draft plan. It's not finalized. Just major intersections here. It's where I'm going to place stations, because again, then you put a parking ride, and it acts as that transportation hub. So again, it's going to follow the corridor up here. Now, I know I did have the idea of linking the 2 whereas I would bring the green line and temporarily cut over to here, and then have a station here at Home Avenue, and then have it cut back around. That is still a possibility, but I just haven't visually shown it yet. But I will do that, just so like the lines cross and people can easily say, oh, okay, if I have to cross over to the green line, I can just do it from Home Avenue because that's the merger point. Now again, I have some optional stations coming across here. This is actually where they're already doing some stuff, and I do have a little bus depot thing planned here for University Avenue. Oklahoma Boulevard, I believe this is where they're doing that in the 805. Yep, that's it right there, the little bus thing. So imagine if they had one on the 805 too, you would just have the trolley service going right on top of that. Pretty easy, easily engineerable too. Now again, now it follows down Adams Avenue here, Camino del Rio, and ends at the Mission Valley Center. Now, this is the end of that line, and then the secondary line would actually, let me see. You know, hypothetically, I could have expanded the Patriot line to Qualcomm Stadium. I mean, but I just drew it to there because it would just be using an existing line anyway. So you hypothetically you could just move it over. Wouldn't be a big deal. Actually, I remember why I didn't do that, because the line originally I had it going across this way and then up, but I followed 805, so yeah, you can still transfer and get to Qualcomm Stadium essentially from now that center. So now following it north, you can see I have a couple lines that are cutting across. So I'll start here. See both the Patriot line and the purple line all cross over here at Arrow Drive at some point. But I do have I believe this is the gray line. Now, again, these lines can be renamed for sponsorships and all that stuff. Goes around Balboa Avenue. This is going to be a centralized station where they're currently building the Blue Line expansion. You just have another station that, like, if you've been in New York at all, it's multi-level stations. You would just have one level go down, and yeah, I mean, and you would also have it so the trains could merge. So if they needed to get, like, if there's an accident or something, they need to get trains around a certain area, they could still do that. And again, they could do that by like one of those switch track things. So ideas, but that would go into the station design at a later point. Again, if hits the major transportation hubs, I'm looking for it to hit commercial areas mainly, so people can just jump on the line, get to their jobs, or I do have some in the residential areas, but the goal would be for people to take the bus if they're working like nearby, take the trolley, and then they could just go to downtown, or better yet, and then what I would do is I like going down to Pacific Beach for drinks, and on the weekend, if I could take the trolley from my house, and the trolleys ran till like 24/7, oh heck yeah, then I don't have to worry about driving. Then you reduce drunk driving. So it's a great idea to have this, and I think the New York subways operate pretty much 24/7 now too. I was there back in like 09, I think. So it's been a minute since I've been in New York. But in any case, so the lines cross across here, and then the gray line ends up at the Santee Trolley Station, which I believe is the orange line. No, that's Salvation Army. Santee Trolley Center might be the green line. I forget. It's been a minute since I've taken the trolley out there, but there is a center that ends at Santee Trolley Square, so you would have that. Now, coming up north here, you can see here I have a plan for a joint training center. Now, recently the San Diego Police Officers Union said, hey, well, we want to use the land at the old Chargers Park here for training. It's like, well, and a headquarters is like, well, great, but good luck getting the permits for shooting along there. If you do it at Camp Elliott and have a joint training center between all the local law enforcement, military, and etc., boom, good to go. Saves taxpayers some money too. Now, you can see now I have two different directions here. So coming through, or at least passing Montgomery Field, so got a station at Montgomery Field, obviously. But the purple line follows the 15 north, so this would be a Camp Elliott station if that were to ever go through. Camp Elliott being MCA's Miramar. Camp Elliott was a former Army base. Again, Green Line, or Patriot Line, sorry, is going up here towards University City and then linking in at UTC. Purple Line goes up to Kearney Villa Road and stops there or doesn't stop there. It links in with the Mason Line. And the Mason Line I have, which is basically just a loop, and that one's going from essentially the UTC Transit Center, and then just loops around Mira Mesa and Miramar because this is a heavily traveled area. Shortest of the lines that I proposed, but that one is going to be most efficient because that area is hell on traffic, and I know because I used to work off, not Commerce here. Where did I work off of? Where's the road? Where's AT&T? Production. Yeah, I used to work off that area, and that was not fun traffic, especially the 805 split going home. Not fun. So that would be the shortest of the lines. Patriot Line would go all the way up here and link into Camino del Norte at some point. Ramona, again, I have this little optional stub here, and this would be for the Purple Line. Purple Line, again, follows up this way, goes to Carmel Ranch, and then links in to the Blue Line, which the Blue Line I'm planning to extend past here, and there's a couple different directions, but the Blue Line would essentially go up towards Del Mar Heights, and there's the new Del Mar Highlands Mall and the new center right here, which is actually ironic because I planned for that a while back, at least for internet service. So I forget who has the contract for that. I think AT&T and one other provider, but we did some early engineering work and planning for the internet there, getting service. So that was a fun project. But in any case, you go to Canyon Crest Academy. Just wish that shopping center was there back in the day, but it wasn't. In any case, you got a couple of different stations going across, and then finally I have it ending in Forest Ranch. Now the tricky part is going up north to Escondido. I do want to link that up here, and what I think I'm probably gonna do. Now this Purple Line stub was just there, just as a placeholder, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Purple Line go back around this way and follow the Green Line, and then follow the 15 quarter up to Escondido, to the Sprinter Center there, or the Transit Hub, and then in that case I could also expand the Red Line, have it cut across a different direction here, and meet up there and have like a centralized transit center, but that would be depending on the need. It's just a little tricky with Escondido there. You have Del Dios over here. I mean, this whole area in the center here, Rancho Santa Fe right here, that's all rich people. Nearly all rich people. I have friends that live in those areas, and it's a really nice area, and a lot of those people drive, and I don't think they would appreciate, trolley service and anything going there, just because of the community dynamic. So that's why this plan is mainly focusing on the urbanized areas. Granted, as I said, it's still a draft, so can be modified, but it's just one of those things where we need to improve our transportation infrastructure. How are we going to do it? And again, this doesn't include any high-speed rail projects that I've planned out. This is just purely light rail. Hypothetically, they could put a new one on like the 125 section here, and then following up to the 94. Well, then if it reaches the 94, you already got trolley service. So essentially, you'd have to cut across, follow the 54 up, and go that way into El Cajon, or cut through Lakeside and then come back and merge at a specific point. But San Diego was just so spread out the way it was designed. it's just very difficult to plan for stuff. And the city had the option of purchasing MCAS Miramar when they were doing the base closures, and then they would have kept El Toro, I believe, but that never happened. MCAS Miramar transferred from the Navy over to the Marine Corps, which, granted, love Armed Forces, so I love going to the MCAS Miramar Air Show and stuff, but I think future planning wise, if they would have saw, well, shit, we we have a kind of a choke point with Lindbergh, and we can only fly in, certain aircraft. We're limited on what we can fly in. And we got C-5 Galaxies landing at MCAS Miramar. If we would have moved Lindbergh Field to there and had a high-speed rail line coming to downtown, that would have been perfect. And then this would have been transferred and developed. But although this is all infill, so if we turn back on the plate boundaries, you actually have part of the Rose Canyon fault line that's going right through there. So, I mean, you're building by the ocean. You're building in California. It's very earthquake prone. So it's one of those things where it's like you have to meet certain engineering specifications when you build anything. And again, this is all infill. If you look at historical aerials, this is all infill. Same thing with convention centers. Same thing with a lot of places along the coast here, actually around here too, on North Island. There's been a lot of infill over the years. So it's just planning for the geography and what and what's currently there, and what needs the most service. Now, I will say this while I'm talking about this area too, that 163 needs to be expanded at some point, and not relevant to transportation on mass transit here, this video, but 163 should get improved as well. Finally, I have my red line here again, which I talked about. This could be expanded, but and you got your Sprinter, which is already going through Vista up here, so yeah, I'm gonna say that's fine. I think the major thing, at least I think, is the 78 needs to be expanded again, have it a 5-lane road as opposed to it's currently 3 and 4 in some areas, because it likes to back up all the time. Also, I want to say State Route 56, that needs to be expanded again, because originally it was planned for like a lot more lanes, but they ended up not doing it, so they shot themselves in the foot as usual with planning and didn't do that. There's actually supposed to be a bridge here at, I want to say this is, what's the name of the road? Why isn't it loading? Off of 56 here by Canyon Crest Academy. That is going to be Carmel Valley Road. So Carmel Valley Road was supposed to be a bridge going up this way and linking to this community up here at McDonald Ranch Road, but residents sued over that and they never built the bridge here. But imagine if they did, it would have been a lot easier for a couple of my friends to go to school, since they live up in this area. I'll just go like that, just get a general idea. Because right now you have to go all the way around and there's always traffic, so then you expand the 56, again, 5 lanes either direction, with that one middle lane being the carpool. And then what else do they need to expand? Hell, they need to expand a lot. 52 needs to be expanded, and I would actually do that when they're building the trolley service, so they're not, they're already expanding bridges, might as well do it, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot that needs to be done in San Diego, and it just boils down to money and the willingness to do stuff, and having the politicians and the community members that push stuff forward. Because if no one pushes any of these projects forward, we're just gonna get stuck in the same old, oh, we'll get to it, we'll get to it eventually. I mean, not to rag on Sandag, but it took them a year and a half to get back to me on my Gold Line plan for trolley service. A year and a half. And that was talking to some of the guys there and a couple of lead planners and say, oh yeah, we can meet with you by the end of the year. And that was just 2017. And now they're getting to me mid-June or early July. Yeah, there's priorities. I mean, granted, they probably have other stuff they're working on. I know they do, but if you have a major plan like this, you gotta start planning early. So KML file is going to be linked. I have that up on my Google Drive. Again, Windows Defender, of course. then I'll have a link to any of the old videos that I talked about for planning. And I'm at the 30-minute mark, so I am gonna stop. I've probably bored you all to death, but yeah, that's the transportation plan. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, refer to the email below. And if you want to use any of this footage or the KML file itself, please reach out to me and we can negotiate usage rights, because this all is copyrighted. So please let me know if you got any questions, concerns, and all that fun stuff. So thanks for watching, and together we can improve San Diego infrastructure, because we already have bad traffic and it's only going to get worse with the amount of people moving in and out. So thanks for watching, and stay classy, San Diego.